members and other participants, and welcome to the second day of our March 25th, 26th, 2021 California Board of Accountancy meeting. My name is Nancy Corrigan. I'm president of California Board of Accountancy. I'm going to, at this time, turn the meeting over to Ms. Rebecca Reed, our board relations analyst, to take roll call. Please acknowledge your presence when Ms. Reed calls your name. First, unmuting your microphone and then muting thereafter. Ms. Reed, please take the roll call and establish our quorum. Thank you.
Carrie Ann Farrell Hines.
Good morning, I'm here.
Dan Jacobson.
Here.
Soshi Leon.
Here.
Luz Molina Lopez.
Present.
Dee Dee Owens.
Present.
Ariel Pay.
Present.
Katrina Salazar.
Present.
Michael Savoy.
Present.
Mark Silverman.
Present.
Yin Tu.
Present.
And Nancy Corrigan. Present. And we have a quorum.
Thank you. And continuing from yesterday, I want to pick up and start with agenda item 4, report of the Secretary Treasurer, Mr. Silverman.
Thank you, President Corrigan. I'm pleased to report the mid-year financial report for fiscal year 2020 to 2021. The CBA budget authority for the current fiscal year is now set at $16,323,000. The budget reflects adjustments made for the 9.23 reduction in staff compensation and the accompanying reduction in pro rata expenses. The budget report format was modified in order to adapt to the fiscal format. The mid-year report now includes the percentage of the budget expended through fiscal month 6 in year-end projections. As displayed on page 3, actual expenditures and encumbrances as of December 31st were nearly $8.1 million and represent approximately 49.4% of our budget. Based on these figures, the CBA is currently projected to end fiscal year 2021 with a budget surplus of 7.88%. Enforcement expenditures through December 31st, 2020 totaled $390,134. Revenue through fiscal month 6 totaled approximately $9.1 million, which is an increase of almost 64% over revenues for the same period in the previous fiscal year. This is due to the license renewal and initial licensing fee increases that became effective January 1st of last year. Revenue projections through the end of fiscal year 2020 to 2021 are over $17.7 million. The fund condition shown on page 7 projects that the CBA will end the current fiscal year with 8.2 months in reserve. The projection for future fiscal years indicates increased revenue due to the license renewal and initial licensure fee increase to $250 that was implemented January 1st of last year. The $10 million loan to the general fund is displayed under transfer to other funds, and its impact is shown in the months in reserve at the end of fiscal year 2020 to 2021 and beyond. As reported at the January 2021 CBA meeting, all state agencies will assume a permanent 5% reduction to their operating budgets beginning in fiscal year 2021 to 2022. Following the January meeting, DCA informed the CBA that its 5% reduction target was modified from $190,000 to $53,000. This reduction plan is currently undergoing review by the Department of Finance. Work is resuming on the fee analysis that's being conducted by Kroll LLP. This analysis of CBA business processes is necessary in order to ensure that the CBA's fees are appropriately structured. An initial meeting was held in early March of this year. Progress updates will be presented to the board, and the results of the analysis are expected to be presented at the November CBA meeting. This concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer or have staff available to answer any questions members may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Silverman. Members, are there any questions on the treasurer's report? Seeing that there are none, moderator, would you please open for questions from the public? Thank you.
This is the moderator. I've opened up the Q&A. Members of the public, if you would like to participate, click on the Q&A icon located at the bottom right corner of your WebEx screen and type, "I would like to make a comment," and send it to all panelists. Board President, no requests have been submitted. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Yes, please. Thank you. I'm moving on to agenda item 7, report of the executive officer under VII.A, discussion and possible action regarding the California Board of Accountancy 2021 Communications and Outreach Plan. Mr. Patrick Ibarra, Information and Planning Officer.
Good morning. President Corrigan, members of the board, I am Patrick Ibarra, Information and Planning Officer with the CBA. I will be presenting item 7A, discussion and possible action regarding the California Board of Accountancy 2021 Communications and Outreach Plan. The purpose of this agenda item is to provide the board an opportunity to discuss and provide feedback on the draft CBA 2021 Communications and Outreach Plan, which I will refer to as the 2021 Plan. The goal of the Communications and Outreach Plan is to provide a framework that discusses the CBA's strategic communication goals and how it intends to increase the volume and effectiveness of its activities in pursuit of those goals. While many priorities set out in the California Board of Accountancy 2020 Communications and Outreach Plan were accomplished last year, not all that were identified were achieved. Of those that are still outstanding, most have been included as a priority for 2021. Attachment 2 provides a detailed overview of those 2020 priorities. For 2021, though, CBA staff have high expectations set, and although detailed information is listed in the draft 2021 plan, which is attachment 1, I would like to provide a preview of what we are looking forward to. Many aspects of the 2021 plan are consistent with the CBA approved 2020 plan, including target audiences, messaging goals, and priorities. The plan also discusses the role of partnerships and communication assets enlisted by the CBA to reach target audiences, including the update newsletter, the CBA website, social media, and both virtual and possibly in-person outreach events in 2021. A robust list of priorities have been put forth by the CBA staff for 2021, expanding on last year's plan in areas such as developing new partnerships with educational institutions and consumer protection organizations, an increased number of outreach events this year, including one hosted by the CBA, video and audio-based opportunities such as a video series and a podcast, enhanced social media engagement and website updates, and increased military support and assistance to refugees, ASOEs, and special immigrant visa holders. On page 7 of the 2021 plan, you can see we are on track to publish 3 update newsletters, with our first this year set to deploy at the end of this month. The redesigned look, which was a priority task from 2020, has been well received and provides more interactive links. To further enhance the readability, we will continue exploring online publishing options this year. Outreach events continue to be an ongoing priority in 2021, as many are already planned for spring and beyond. The CBA participated in 5 outreach events in 2020, with a mixture of in-person and virtual events due to COVID-19 adjustments. 2 have been accomplished in 2021 already, with 3 more scheduled through May. We also plan to explore the CBA hosting its own statewide virtual event this year. The CBA will resume its effort to accomplish a video series in collaboration with Cal CPA that would explain to applicants and consumers the examination, education, and experience requirements for licensure. Originally planned for 2020, we ultimately rescheduled production of that series for this year. We'd like to thank and recognize Cal CPA for its continued efforts and resources to get these videos developed. With our collection of email addresses, a new vehicle has been provided to reach licensees. We are continuing to build the number, and on page 8, you'll see we have a renewal email campaign in development for release this year. Speaking of the CBA website, and also on page 8, in 2021, we will continue pursuing enhancements to provide new resources and clear information for our web visitors. We will continue work on the consumer pages, and will also add information and resources to the website on how to help prevent elder financial abuse, as well as provide quick access to information about expedited licensing opportunities through the CBA's Military and Refugee Liaison, which you can see on page 9. The CBA's social media channels continue to increase in followers on channels like Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. The CBA will continue to use these channels to increase its messaging reach about CBA meetings, licensing requirements, and other items of interest to stakeholders. Information about application processing times was added as a weekly update in 2020, and that will continue to provide transparency regarding application processing timeframes. We are also finding new ways to utilize social media channels, such as promoting open positions with investigative CPA and committee member recruitment messaging. Staff welcome any feedback from the CBA and also recommend that the CBA approves the 2021 plan. That concludes my presentation on this agenda item. I'll now turn it back over to President Corrigan, but I'm also happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Ibarra. And looks like Ms. Salazar, perhaps you have a question?
I do. Thank you very much. I would like to start by thanking the staff and leadership for the work in this area. I think the report looks fantastic. There is one area that maybe isn't needed to be added to the report, but I would love to just have Mr. Ibarra maybe comment on it so that we can remind our board members and put it on record, is the fact that we do have bilingual materials, and our website, there are some ways for our constituents that don't have English as a first language. There are ways to facilitate communication with them. So I would just add, we don't even need it for this, but we might just wish to comment on the multilingual outreach options, because I do think it does complement the communications and outreach plan by adding in a little bit more information. So thank you very much, and I appreciate any comments you can put on the record about how we facilitate that.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from other members at this time? Seeing that there are none, do I have a motion to approve the 2021 plan?
So moved.
That I'm sorry, I don't know who that was that made the motion.
Mark Silverman.
Mr. Silverman made a motion to accept, and Ms. Hines, do you have a second?
Yes, I second the motion.
Members, any further discussion on this topic? Moderator, would you please open for any discussion from the public?
Yes, this is the moderator. Members of the public, if you would like to participate, click on the Q&A icon located at the bottom right corner of your WebEx screen and type, "I would like to make a comment," and send it to all panelists. Board President, no requests have been submitted. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Yes, please do. Thank you. Ms. Reed, would you call for the vote and then provide the result?
Carrie Ann Farrell Hines,
Yes.
Dan Jacobson,
Yes.
Soshi Leon,
Yes.
Luz Molina Lopez,
Yes.
Dee Dee Owens,
Yes.
Ariel Pay,
Yes.
Katrina Salazar,
Yes.
Michael Savoy,
Yes.
Mark Silverman,
Yes.
Yin Tu,
Yes.
and Nancy Corrigan.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you. And moving on then to agenda item 7B, update on the California Board of Accountancy's communications and outreach. Mr. Patrick Ibarra, again, Information and Planning Officer.
Thank you, President Corrigan. Members of the board, I will be presenting item VII.B, the Communications and Outreach Report. The CBA participated in 2 virtual outreach events in the first 2 months of the year and has 3 more on the calendar in the next 2 months. On January 25th, the CBA teamed up with Golden Gate University for an event titled CPA Game Changer. President Corrigan spoke about the role of the CBA and the value of the CPA title, and CBA managers Suzanne Gracia and Ramona Bermudez explained the qualification and application process for the CPA exam and licensure. GGU staff was highly appreciative and said the event was valuable to their students. California Society of CPAs invited the CBA to speak at an event with San Francisco State University on February 11th titled Pathways to Success in Accounting. President Corrigan again represented the CBA along with Ms. Gracia and Ms. Bermudez, who spoke about the upcoming changes to the CPA exam in 2024, in addition to the topics presented at the January event. At the February event, the CBA began using an updated and more visually appealing deck of PowerPoint slides to complement these presentations. They received very positive feedback. You can see 2 examples of the slides in the report. The CBA also has upcoming outreach events with San Jose State on April 14th, Cal Poly Pomona on April 21st, and CSU San Bernardino on May 4th. The CBA website has been updated to reflect new resources available to our military members and their spouses, as well as refugees, asylees, and special visa holders. The CBA is increasing our recruitment efforts in 2 areas. One is to fill the CBA's vacant investigative CPA positions, and the other is to promote serving on one of the 3 CBA advisory committees, all of which currently have vacancies. An email was sent to a targeted group of approximately 40,000 licensees, informing them of the openings in both areas this week. More communications are being developed to increase awareness of the committee openings, including the creation of a flyer and reaching out directly to licensees who participated in outreach events that the CBA was involved in at the suggestion of President Corrigan. Thank you. The CBA social media pages added more than 300 followers in the last 3 months. Interaction has increased on Facebook and Twitter, both with comments visible publicly and inquiries directed to the CBA via private messages. Our processing date calendar updates continue to be among our most reactive posts. The CBA also amplifies important messaging which comes to us from DCA and the governor's office. The Vaccinate All 58 campaign was a high priority recently. That concludes my presentation on this agenda item. I will now turn it back over to President Corrigan, but I'm also happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Ibarra. And it looks like maybe we have a question or comment from Ms. Molina.
Yes, hi. Thank you, President Corrigan. Thank you, Mr. Ibarra. I like this report. I see that it has a bit of a new look. I really do appreciate the bigger pictures. I think it does make it more visually pleasing. That's actually, I wrote down your phrase. I heard you say visually appealing. And I do appreciate that. And it brought to mind the our website. I was just curious whether there is any plans to update our website a little bit in more of a visually appealing manner. It seems like we have been getting some updates to some of the reports we receive. I know the licensing update report has a new look. I do appreciate that, and it helps to, give it a fresh feel. So that is my comment about the website. If that's in the plans, that would be fantastic. And my second comment has to do with continuing on the discussion that we had yesterday. I think a few of our board members mentioned that it would be a good idea to recognize our advisory committee members. And I believe we're speaking about recognizing them perhaps such as on the update newsletter. And I just wanted to bring that back up today. It would be wonderful to be able to see a little bit more recognition for our advisory committee members. Thank you.
Ms. Pierce, do you have a response regarding the website, or Mr. Ibarra, one of you? Thank you.
Yes, thank you for bringing those up. We have in development a new website template that we have been working on. So it will be a fresh look. There will probably be some reorganization of some items to try to, enhance the user ability user function of that. So I don't have a specific rollout date on that, but that is in development. And then just on the highlighting the committee members, we have in the past done a highlight of various committee members in our update publication, actually both committee members and board members. And so I don't want to steal Patrick's thunder, but we do have a highlight in our upcoming update of former board member Jose Campos. But we have actually done several interviews and included that in our update publication. One of the other things that we're doing that's kind of a recognition, I would say, is we're presently working on a brochure for our committee recruitment activities. And one of the ideas that Patrick and his team came up with was to include quotes from different committee members who have served on committees as part of that brochure. So they're going to be including those in there. So definitely hear what you're saying, and we do have some ideas in the works, and we will continue updating the board on those activities.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from other members? Seeing that there are none, moderator, would you please open it for public comment? Thank you.
Yes, this is the moderator. Members of the public, if you would like to participate, click on the Q&A icon located at the bottom right corner of your WebEx screen and type, "I would like to make a comment," and send it to all panelists. You have an individual identified as Jason Fox. Jason, I'm going to unmute your microphone at this moment. You're unmuted.
Jason Fox of the California Society of CPAs. I just want to recognize the board staff and their partnership and some of the outreach stuff. And as Patrick mentioned, we're happy and willing to participate in any outreach as it makes sense for the board. So thank you.
Board President, no further requests have been submitted. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Yes, please do. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item H, report on the Enforcement Advisory Committee, Qualifications Committee, and Peer Review Oversight Committee. Item A, Enforcement Advisory Committee, Doug Aguilera, CPA Chair. Mr. Aguilera.
Thank you very much. On behalf of the entire Enforcement Committee, it is my pleasure to provide an update. The Enforcement Advisory Committee held its meeting on February 4th, 2020 via the online platform WebEx. The EAC successfully conducted 2 off-cycle investigative hearings on March 10th and 17th, 2021 via WebEx, and continued to plan to conduct more hearings at the next EAC meeting. Our next meeting will be held on May 6th, 2021 via WebEx. That concludes my report, and I will be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Aguilera. Members, are there any questions regarding this report? Seeing that there are none, moderator, would you please open to the public?
Members of the public, if you would like to participate, click on the Q&A icon at the bottom right corner of your WebEx screen and type, "I would like to make a comment," and send it to all panelists. Board President, no requests have been submitted. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Please do. Thank you. Thank you again, Mr. Aguilera, for your service and chairing the committee. We really appreciate that. Moving on, agenda item 8C, Qualifications Committee. There is no report on this item. Agenda item C, Peer Review Oversight Committee. Unfortunately, Chair Ms. Graves could not be with us today, but fortunately, Michelle Center, our licensing chief, will provide that report. Ms. Center?
Thank you, President Corrigan. The PROC held its meeting via WebEx video conference on February 12th, 2021. I'd like to thank CBA President Corrigan for attending our meeting, providing an overview of the CBA's activities from the January 14, 2021 CBA meeting. The PROC discussed and provided feedback regarding the approval of its December 11, 2020 meeting minutes and discussed PROC oversight activities for 2021. Lastly, the PROC reviewed, provided edits, and approved its 2020 PROC annual report, which I will present under the next agenda item. That concludes my presentation. Also do note that the next PROC meeting is April 30th. Thank you.
Members, are there any questions at this time for this part of the report? Seeing that there are none, moderator, would you please open it for public comment?
Yes, this is the moderator. Members of the public, if you would like to participate, click on the Q&A icon, bottom right corner of your WebEx screen, and type "I would like to make a comment" and send it to all panelists. Board President, no requests have been submitted. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Please do, thank you. And moving on to agenda item 8C2, presentation and possible adoption of the Peer Review Oversight Committee 2020 Annual Report. Ms. Center.
Thank you. The 2020 PROC Annual Report includes information on various activities and accomplishments, information on the oversight functions performed by the PROC, and various statistical information. At its February 12, 2021 meeting, the PROC reviewed and approved the PROC 2020 Annual Report. In 2020, the following sections and subsections were added to the report. 1, PROC observed oversight activities conclusion. 2, peer review report and publication review conclusion. And 3, statistical monitoring and reporting on California peer reviewer statistics. Additionally, the PROC 2020 Annual Report has a slightly new format in order to make it compliant with the Americans with Disabilities Act. Most notably, the tables have been updated to remove merged cells. The graphs have been updated, and some of the titles needed to be modified. The annual report documents that the PROC concluded that the AICPA peer review program functioned effectively in accordance with the standards adopted by the board. The PROC recommends that the CBA adopt the 2020 annual report and continue to provide guidance to the PROC as appropriate concerning its oversight activities. I'll turn it back over to President Corrigan, and I'm happy to answer questions.
Thank you, Ms. Center. It looks like I have a couple of hands. Ms. Salazar.
Thank you very much, President Corrigan. The report looks lovely. The electronic version that I am reviewing on my tablet, on page 3, where it's intended to list current members, I actually can't see the names, so I'm sure it's there. I would just ask that prior to anything being finalized, that the presentation of that be verified so that it's the electronic copy is viewable to all. So thank you very much. That's it.
Thank you. Yes, it does certainly show on my printed copy, but we'll make sure the electronic one is just as good. Any other questions or comments on this report, members? And seeing that there are none, do I have a motion to adopt? Hines?
Move to adopt.
Thank
Second.
you. And I don't know whose voice that was.
That was Mark. Second.
Mr. Silverman, thank you. So I have first, any further discussion, members, on the motion and the second? Seeing that there is none, moderator, would you please open to the public for comment? Thank you.
Yes, this is the moderator. Members of the public, you can click on the Q&A icon located at the bottom right corner of your WebEx screen and type "I would like to make a comment" and send it to all panelists. Board President, no requests have been submitted. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Yes, please do. Thank you. And Ms. Reed, would you call for the vote and then provide the result? Thank you.
Carrie Ann Farrell Hines,
Yes.
Dan Jacobson,
Yes.
Soshi Leon,
Yes.
Luz Molina Lopez,
Yes.
Dee Dee Owens,
Yes.
Ariel Pay,
Yes.
Katrina Salazar, Katrina Salazar,
Yes.
Michael Savoy,
Yes.
Mark Silverman,
Yes.
Yin Tu,
Yes.
and Nancy Corrigan.
Yes.
And the motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 9, report of the enforcement chief, Mr. Dominic Franzella, Chief Enforcement Division.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning, members. The activity report before you today is for the 7 months of fiscal year 2021. So with complaints received, we've received just short of 1,600 complaints so far, which is an 11% increase compared to the same period last fiscal year. As for investigations, which are on pages 3 through 5 of your report, staff have closed almost 1,500 cases, with 92% being closed within 1 year. On page 4, members will note enforcement has 834 cases in its pending investigations inventory. We have seen a slight increase in the cases over 24 months. But as Chair Aguilera had mentioned, we did conduct 2 off-cycle investigative hearings this month and have 2 more scheduled in conjunction with the EAC or the May EAC meeting. And we're hopeful that between these activities will assist us in managing some of the aged inventory, because we have been unable to do IHs for almost a year now. So we're now back in the swing of doing those things. Moving to discipline. Discipline-related information, which is on pages 6 through 9 of your report. Looking first at the AG referrals, the CBA has referred 31 matters to the AG and has filed 26 pleadings, with the majority of them being accusations. On page 7, the CBA has 43 matters pending at the AG's office. None of the cases are over 24 months, and 1 case is nearing that window. But we don't have any that are over 24 months at this time. Lastly, the CBA has taken action on 29 final disciplinary orders, with the vast majority of those arising from stipulated settlements. Moving on to page 10, which is citation and fines. The CBA has issued just over 200 citations, with just over 60% of those citations being for the minimum yearly CE requirement of the 20 and 12. One thing I would like to note, we definitely have seen an increase in the average number of days related to the issuance of citations. There are several factors that have contributed to an increase in the average days to complete these citations. Primarily due to the impact of COVID, several licenses were granted extensions to rectify compliance issues. Staff also provided extra courtesy notices to licensees in an attempt to resolve these issues, as some licensees did not receive communications from the CBA due to office closures at their place of employment. So all of those factors, the clock doesn't stop during the tracking of those, but staff was trying to work with these licensees to obtain compliance. Moving on to page 11 and unlicensed activity. The CBA has received 156 complaints through the first 7 months and have obtained compliance and closed, have obtained a compliance and 107 matters and closed 120 total. Finally, the probation monitoring, which is on pages 12 and 13. Presently, we have 128 probationers. We've also identified 25 probation violations, with the vast majority being failing to submit quarterly reports. At this time, I'd like to turn discussion on the item back over to President Corrigan, and I'll do my best to answer any members' questions.
Thank you, Mr. Franzella. Members, are there any questions regarding the enforcement activity report? Seeing that there are, Ms. Molina?
Sorry, I couldn't find the button. Thank you, Mr. Franzella. Thank you for this report. I have a question about citations and fines. Has the CBA received requests for relief of any fines, any fee amounts, perhaps due to financial hardships? And if yes or no, would that be a consideration that the CBA would take?
So as part of any citation, there's a document that goes out that allows them to appeal the citation, which includes whether or not the violation occurred, but also whether or not the assessed fine is something the board is willing to consider a reduction of. Staff evaluate these on a case-by-case basis related to facts and circumstances submitted by the licensee. At this time, I don't have an exact number of appeal requests, whether or not we've modified or withdrawn or eliminated or upheld a particular fine amount, but that's something I do believe we track, and it's something I'm happy to report on at a later date.
Thank you, Mr. Franzella. Yes, I would like to see that information.
Thank you. Questions or comments from any other members regarding the enforcement activity report? Seeing that there are none, moderator, would you please open for public comment? Thank you.
Yes, this is the moderator. Members of the public, if you would like to participate, click on the Q&A icon located at the bottom right corner of your WebEx screen and type, "I would like to make a comment," and send it to all panelists. No requests have been submitted. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Yes, please do. Thank you. Agenda item 10, report of the licensing chief, Michelle Center, Chief Licensing Division, for our licensing activity report.
Thank you, President Corrigan. The licensing activity report covers July 1, 2020 through January 31, 2021. Included in this report is the NASBA CPA exam performance summary for the third and fourth testing quarters of 2020. There are two parts to each quarterly report. One is a California-specific report, and the other is an all-jurisdiction report. The reports are included as attachments 1 and 2. On March 3rd, when the LAR, or Licensing Activity Report, was prepared, the initial licensing unit was processing applications within 48 days. I'm pleased to report that our licensing application processing time continues to decrease. At this time, we are processing those applications within 42 days. The processing of exam applications continues to fall under the 30-day processing goal. The CBA continues to work toward modernization of its processes. To that end, I'm happy to announce that with the assistance of DCA, we will launch an online initial licensing application for candidates applying for CPA licensure. We anticipate launching by the end of March, but if we need to take a few extra days to get it right, we will make sure to do that. This online application will allow licensing applicants to submit a complete application online and give them the ability to upload and attach supporting documents, eliminating the need to send a hard copy application in the mail. Additionally, the online application will allow the applicant to pay their application and initial license fee online. Additionally, the CBA is in the process of developing an online dashboard for licensing applicants that submit either the online application or the paper application. After receipt of a licensing application, applicants will be provided a link to their dashboard to monitor the status of the application by tracking CBA receipt and approval of various supporting documentation, such as transcripts and experience forms. This online dashboard is expected to launch next month. I hope you agree that the online CBA application and applicant dashboard will provide applicants with much needed online resources as the CBA continues its efforts to implement the business modernization solution. I also want to acknowledge the CBA staff in the licensing division and the information technology unit who work to make these online resources a reality. The CBA rolled out additional support for our military members and their spouses, as well as refugees, asylees, and special visa holders. The CBA implemented a dedicated military and refugee liaison to assist our applicants and licensees, including dedicated email accounts and toll-free numbers. We have already seen increased customer service. The CBA military and refugee liaison Jennifer Jackson, has done a phenomenal job assisting those who reach out for assistance. Beginning with the next LAR, we will provide data regarding these expedited services we are providing to these special populations. Now, if you turn your attention to page 1 of the LAR, it shows we received over 38,000 applications between July 1, 2020 and January 31, 2021. Of those, approximately 61% were license renewal applications. There were over 97,000 stakeholder inquiries in the form of emails and telephone calls. This is inclusive of the CBA call center calls. The report also contains trend information beginning on page 2. As you can see in tables 3 and 4, the number of CPA exam applications and CPA applications received and approved remains fairly consistent compared to the same time period of the previous 2 fiscal years. On pages 5 through 7, data related to renewal deficiencies and continuing education audits are displayed. Please note, beginning in May, staff will provide historical data for renewal-related tables where the data is available. Table 7 indicates how many renewal payments were processed. This is separate from how many license applications were reviewed, which is included below in Table 8. Table 8 highlights the number of deficiencies identified compared to the total number of applications reviewed. To date, over 9,600 applications have been reviewed. 523 cases were referred to the Enforcement Division. The majority of those were referred for failure to comply with the 2012 requirement in the first fiscal year of the renewal cycle. Table 10 highlights the outcome of the deficiencies that were identified in Table 8. As of January 31, 2021, there were 816 outstanding deficiencies. It is important to note that this number includes licensees who may be outstanding due to COVID-19 extensions granted for completion of continuing education. In addition to the 2 CE extensions already in place for licenses expiring March 2020 through February 2021, a new extension was recently issued for licenses expiring in March of 2021. These licensees have until September 30th, 2021 to complete their CE requirements. Continuing education audits were temporarily suspended due to COVID-19, but have been resumed. Expect to see data in Table 11, beginning with the next LAR. This concludes my presentation. I'll now turn it back over to President Corrigan and answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Center. Members, do we have any questions or comments regarding the licensing activity report? Seeing that there are none, moderator, would you please open for any public comment? Thank you.
Yes, this is the moderator. Members of the public, if you would like to make a comment, click on the Q&A icon at the bottom right corner of your WebEx screen and type, "I would like to make a comment," and send it to all panelists. I do have an individual identified as Jason Fox who would like to make a comment. Jason, I will unmute your microphone now. You have been unmuted.
Jason Fox with the California Society of CPAs. I just want to recognize Ms. Center and the rest of the board staff. I know the last year has been challenging for a lot of different reasons, and the licensing and renewal has been, I think it's very impressive what the board staff has done to get through the backlog and get back to where we were before the pandemic. So we appreciate the efforts there, and we were also very excited about the modernization efforts to streamline and create a more efficient licensing and renewal process. So a big kudos to the board staff. Thank you.
Board President, no further requests have been submitted. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 11, meeting minutes. A is adoption of the minutes of the January 14, 2024, 21 CBA meeting, which includes non-substantive edits that were noted after the materials were received. And members, is there anyone have any discussion or comments? And if none, I will look for a motion to adopt.
I move to adopt.
That's Mr. Silverman making a motion to adopt. Members, do I have a second? Mr. Pei.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion, members, on the motions? Seeing that there are none, moderator, please open for public discussion.
This is the moderator. Members of the public, if you would like to participate, Q&A icon at the bottom right corner of your WebEx screen and type, I would like to make a comment. Board President, no requests have been submitted. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Please do. Thank you. Ms. Reed, would you call for the vote and please provide the results?
Carrie Ann Farrell Hines,
Yes.
Dan Jacobson,
Abstain because I was gone for about 2 hours at a virtual funeral.
thank you. Soshi Leon,
Abstain.
Luz Molina Lopez,
Yes.
Dee Dee Owens,
Yes.
Ariel Pay,
Yes.
Katrina Salazar,
Yes.
Michael Savoy,
Yes.
Mark Silverman,
Yes.
Yin Tu,
Yes.
and Nancy Corrigan.
Yes.
And the motion carries.
Thank you. Agenda item 11B, adoption of the minutes of the November 21st, 2019 Mobility Stakeholder Group meeting. We mentioned yesterday during the meeting that the MSG has really completed its work, and anything further that might come along would be handled by one of the standing committees or as a part of a board meeting. Please note that member Ms. Salazar, who was serving as the vice chair of the MSG, and Mr. Pranzella attended that meeting on November 19, 2019. They have both reviewed the minutes and concur that they accurately reflect the events at that meeting. Ms. Joffrey, CBA's legal counsel, is available to answer any questions members might have regarding the adoption of those minutes. So I welcome any comments or questions for Ms. Joffrey, and I also welcome a motion and a second to adopt, members. Thank you. Ms. Salazar?
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the minutes of the November 21st Mobility Stakeholder Group meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, members. Do I have a second?
Second.
And that must have been Mr. Silverman. Thank you. Any further discussion from the members? Seeing that there is none, moderator, would you please open for public comment?
Yes, this is the moderator. Members of the public, if you would like to participate, click on the Q&A icon located at the bottom right corner of your WebEx screen and type, I would like to make a comment, and send it to all panelists. Board President, no requests have been submitted. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Please do. Thank you. Ms. Reed, call for the vote and please provide the results.
Carrie Ann Farrell Hines,
Yes.
Dan Jacobson,
Yes.
Soshi Leon,
Yes.
Luz Molina Lopez,
Yes.
Dee Dee Owens,
Yes.
Ariel Pay,
Yes.
Katrina Salazar,
Yes.
Michael Savoy,
Yes.
Mark Silverman,
Yes.
Yin Tu,
Yes.
And Nancy Corrigan? Yes. The motion carries. Thank you. Agenda items 11C and D are acceptance of the minutes of the December 3rd, 2020 Enforcement Advisory Committee meeting and acceptance of the minutes of the December 11th, 2020 Peer Review Oversight Committee meeting minutes, including any non-substantive edits that were noted after the materials were received. Please provide any discussion or questions you may have or comments. And if none, I am accepting a motion to accept both of those. Ms. Owens?
I'll make the motion to accept both of
Thank you.
the agenda items.
Thank
you.
And
Second.
And that is Mr. Silverman?
Yes.
Thank you. And I'm sorry, I can't always see a picture. I'm going by voice recognition for you. So, and any further discussion from the members? Seeing that there are none, moderator, would you please open it to the public?
Yes, this is the moderator. Members of the public, you can click on the Q&A icon located at the bottom right corner of your WebEx screen and type, "I would like to make a comment," and send it to all panelists. No requests have been submitted. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Please, thank you. And Ms. Reed, would you call for the vote and provide the result?
Carrie Ann Farrell Hines,
Yes.
Dan Jacobson,
Yes.
Soshi Leon,
Yes.
Luz Molina Lopez,
Yes.
Dee Dee Owens,
Yes.
Ariel Pay,
Yes.
Katrina Salazar,
Yes.
Hold on.
Michael
Yes.
Savoy,
Yes.
Mark Silverman,
Yes.
Yin Tu,
Yes.
Yin Tu, thank you, and Nancy Corrigan,
Yes,
and the motion carries.
thank you. I'm moving on to agenda item 12, other business A, American Institute of Certified Public Accountants. And before I go on to our state board committee with Ms. Salazar, I want to point out that normally I would be making a report here on the Business Environment and Concept Subcommittee of the AICPA. However, in compliance with the conflict of interest policy that was adopted by the DCA and that we discussed yesterday, the OPES policy, I resigned in February so that I would not be in conflict. So going forward, report on meetings of the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants attended by a California Board of Accountancy representative. A is State Board Committee. Ms. Salazar.
President Corrigan, would you indulge me if I gave my AICPA and NASBA reports following each other?
I would fully indulge and expect it as much as you
Thank
normally
you.
do. So I got my little
Fantastic.
comment in first. Thank you.
All right. So for the AICPA, the State Board Committee meeting, the next scheduled meeting will be in early May. So we'll be providing a more thorough report to the board at the next meeting. For NASBA report, for my report for the Pacific Regional Director, I would like to thank both President Corrigan and Ms. Bowers for participating in the regional call for the Pacific Region states that was held on February 16th. So just a reminder for our board members that these are calls that happen twice a year that allow neighboring states to discuss issues, updates, and concerns, and that helps inform the leadership of all of the boards of what's happening in our neighbor areas. So thank you again for that. Moving along to the relationship with member boards committee report. This is the NASBA committee that helps develop and lead some of the summertime programming. So I am very excited to announce that there will be a NASBA board member orientation this year. It will be virtual. The date has not been decided, but I would ask our board members to pencil a save the date in for June 8th. It will be virtual. And I just want to remind folks that all of our California board members are members of NASBA. So it isn't specific to being a public member or a licensed member. Everyone on this call is actually a member. So if you have not been able to participate in an orientation, it is for newer board members. So I would think maybe if you've joined the past couple of years and have not attended one, I don't believe there was one last year, this might be a great opportunity. The next event that I'm pleased to announce is the regional meeting. This year, there will only be a single meeting. Previously, when we had live meetings, there was a Western and an Eastern event. This regional meeting will be virtual, and the dates are June 22nd and June 23rd. So it will be a 2-day event. So I would ask that you, I would encourage all of our board members to register for these events and would ask you to express your interest to the Board of Accountancy. And I believe that is being directed to Rebecca Reed. So there will be subsequent communications from NASBA, which will let you know when registrations are open. There's some general reminders for NASBA. I do want to report that there was a meeting on January 15th of the NASBA boards. That was right after our last meeting, and all of our board members should have received an in case you missed it email recap from NASBA that outlined a lot of the details. But for my report, I'd like to focus on news that is a little bit fresher and a little bit newer. CPA evolution continues to move forward. So I wanted to call your attention to a NASBA webcast that's available to our board members. There was an email from NASBA to our members on March 19th, which gave additional information about this. Also, evolution, as you know, is creating changes with what is needed in terms of education. And so universities and academia are working to sort of navigate what that means for them. So NASBA and AICPA have completed an accounting program curriculum gap analysis report. That information is available on AICPA's website at their academic resource hub. But all of our board members, I'd like to just point you back towards your email. You should have received correspondence on March 18th from NASBA that will give you some more information about how to just navigate getting to it and what's included in that. AICPA is also highlighting right now the new ethics exposure draft on noncompliance with laws and regulations. So you've heard about this under the acronym NOCLAR. So it's particularly interesting to me. You know, there are distinctions being made between members in industry and those in public practice. So again, there's opportunity for board members to review and comment on that. And lastly, or getting to almost the end, I do want to thank the board for including the NASBA committee interest forms in the materials. And I would remind our committee members that we do things a bit in advance. So the volunteer year actually starts in November. So really, this is a request for your interest for pretty much a 2022 volunteer opportunity. So I would encourage everyone to review that. And I would also share that I am in my last year as regional director for the Pacific region. So I will have concluded my available term of service. So I would let everyone here know that my role will change. As of next year, our region will be looking to elect a new representative. So that information is out there if it interests you. And I'd also remind you that you as NASBA members have the opportunity to participate in that discussion and that selection at the annual meeting. So that annual meeting is still scheduled to happen live at this point. So it's very exciting. It is in our backyard. It is being held in San Diego, October 31st through November 3rd. So again, everything is anticipating that travel restrictions will be reduced. But at this point, our fingers are crossed that it may actually be able to be a live meeting. So I hope you will mark those dates on your calendar and participate in whatever fashion it is being offered to our members. And with that, I would like to thank the president for the time, and I am happy to turn the floor back over and answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Salazar. It looks like we have a question or comment from Ms. Molina.
Thank you, President Corrigan. And thank you very much, Ms. Salazar. I've always appreciated your the fact that you have always signed up to represent us at NASBA, and I'm very happy that you continue in that effort. And I do encourage others to also. And I did want to mention the NASBA new board member meeting event that I attended when I was a first beginning board member was very helpful for me. It definitely puts you into contact with other board members from other states and territories. And it was very helpful, especially because I'm a representative of the public. I'm not a CPA. It was very helpful to understand the profession under that light. And then also the discussions are very robust. Some of them did go over my head, but I appreciate being able to just continue to hear more and more about topics that are relevant to the profession. And now they don't go over my head so readily. So I do encourage our board members, if you have not taken the NASBA new member orientation training, I would encourage you to do so.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from any other members? Seeing that there are none, moderator, would you please open it to the public for comment? Thank you.
Yes, this is the moderator. Members of the public, you can participate by clicking on the Q&A icon located at the bottom right corner of your WebEx screen and typing "I would like to make a comment" and sending it to all panelists. Board President, no requests have been submitted. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Yes, please do. Thank you. And I need to note that under XII.B, NASBA 2A, Continuing Professional Education Committee, which is the committee that I am active on, there is no report for this meeting. So I am now going on to 2AC, Strategic Tax Planning, Strategic Planning Task Force, which Ms. Bowers is a member, but there is no report this time as well. So 12B3, discussion and approval of staff responses to the NASBA focus questions. Ms. Reed, Board Relations Analyst.
Thank you, President Corrigan. The purpose of this agenda item is to provide the CBA with staff proposed responses to the NASBA focus questions. The responses assist the NASBA regional directors with staying apprised of each state's policies, procedures, and recent activities. The CBA may make a motion to approve the attached focus questions or direct staff to make any changes prior to submitting the responses to NASBA. And at this time, I would like to turn it back over to President Corrigan and would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Members, do we have any questions or comments on Ms. Reed's report? Ms. Salazar?
Thank you. My only question is a clarifying question. On item 1 on remote testing, it says we're anticipating additional information, and I'm curious if the white paper that on remote testing that I believe was distributed, but I believe also included with our materials, if that I believe it provided them a lot of responses in here. So can we maybe update it to eliminate the items we don't have questions on, or just clarify to me that we are still waiting for NASBA to present to us and verbally address those in person? Thank you.
Senator, would you address that, please?
Sure. You are correct. The white paper did provide quite a bit of information, but we are expecting something specific still, directed to the questions that were outlined by the Department of Consumer Affairs that we should specifically look at when considering remote proctoring.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Members, if there are no other questions or comments, do I have a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Mr. Silverman, I believe, making that motion. Do I have a second?
Yes.
Ms. Owens?
Yes, I second the motion.
Any further discussion from the members? Seeing that there are none, moderator, would you please open to the public for comment?
Yes, this is the moderator. Members of the public, you can click on the Q&A icon located at the bottom right corner of your WebEx screen and type "I would like to make a comment" and send it to all panelists. Board President, no requests have been submitted. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Yes, please. Thank you. Ms. Reed, would you please call for the vote and provide the result?
Carrie Ann Farrell Hines,
Yes.
Dan Jacobson,
Yes.
Soshi Leon,
Yes.
Luz Molina Lopez,
Yes.
Dee Dee Owens,
Yes.
Ariel Pay,
Yes.
Katrina Salazar,
Yes.
Michael Savoy, Mark Silverman,
Yes.
Yin Tu,
Yes.
and Nancy Corrigan.
Yes.
And the motion passes.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 13, closing business. A, agenda items for future California Board of Accountancy meetings. Members, do I have any items for that? Mr. Jacobson.
Thank you. I continue to, on my quest of a couple of years at least, to request that the issue of what is substantial relationship be agendized. As part of this request, I report that there was a time, maybe a year and a half ago, that that seems to have been accepted. I received a call from someone from the DCA who said, amongst other things, lawyers who appear before you haven't figured out what your memo says. And the memo was what I was agreed I would give to
Mr.
the.
Jacobson, I'm not sure that going on with the discussion is appropriate, but I have your request.
I'll be done in one sentence.
Well, I'm asking you, I have your request, and Ms. Molina, do you have something further?
Thank you, President Corrigan. We had a public comment yesterday regarding a discussion about mental health and considering the CPE credits for individuals that do take courses for personal growth or personal development with regards to mental health. And I would like to see this item agendized so that we can have a discussion about this.
Thank you. And Ms. Leon? Ms. Leon?
Sorry, talking on mute. So based on the discussion that we were having yesterday on fee reductions in military and, potentially just looking at it from a impact of COVID on different communities, I would love to talk as a team about doing an assessment for equity and inclusion on what actions the CBA can take to help or alleviate current and future CPAs from communities that have been impacted. And I'm thinking not just fee reductions, but maybe community outreach, partnerships, and other, just to make sure that if there are new actions that we need to take for us to discuss, just to make sure that we're having a growing pipeline of young CPAs being certified and a vibrant CPA community that reflects the diversity of the state of California.
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Hines?
Yes, actually, I would like to extend on Ms. Leon's, and also this is related to Ms. Molina's request to extend that research into focusing on women and the impact of COVID and the economic downturn the She Session has had on women potentially in the CPA profession, looking at where at this point we should be starting to look at where we might see issues with recruiting women to become CPAs or to seek their licensing because their educational opportunities or their professional opportunities were impacted significantly by the COVID pandemic. We're seeing and hearing research that's showing that women have been disproportionately impacted and that the economic reverberations are going to be long-standing. And where we have seen struggles with recruiting particularly, people of color, but, women, and we can see it, we could anticipate that it will impact women of color. I think that it would be great if staff started looking into this and looking at organizations, whether it's universities or other, think tanks or things like that, that can be, they can partner with to sort of get ahead of this, because it is going to be an issue.
Thank you. Ms. Leon?
No, I completely agree. I would say let's look at it from the different dimensions of diversity. Gender obviously goes too.
Thank you. Mr. Jacobson?
Yes. Department interference with members' suggestions for agendizing.
Thank you. And I believe I've called on everybody. Please open moderator to the public for anything further. Thank you.
Yes, this is the moderator. I do see, and it might be left over, but I do see Miss Kurian's hand up. Okay,
right now for any comments from the public, please. Thank you.
Members of the public, if you would like to participate, click on the Q&A icon located at the bottom right corner of your WebEx screen and type, "I would like to make a comment," and send it to all panelists. No requests have been submitted. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Yes, please do. Thank you. At this time, the board will convene into closed session after having deliberated on all of the open session items except for adjournment. Please note that due to technological limitations, adjournment will not be broadcast. Adjournment will immediately follow closed session, and there will be no other items of business discussed. Thank you.